With the release of Nick All-Stars Brawl and Multiverses, I've seen a lot of people clamoring for a Disney fighting game. They gave us a MOBA. This is why we can't have nice things. But I mean, I did one of these for Cartoon Network, and did one of these for Nickelodeon. Might as well do the thing for Disney, right? Well, there's just one problem. You might not know this, but Disney owns half the planet. How on earth do you even attempt to cut that down? If I made a list of the 500 most iconic characters, I'm pretty sure half of them would be owned by the mouse. They own so much that I have to put even more arbitrary rules than usual. First, bumping this to 60. 50 is just too low. I'm also bumping the more conservative roster to 40. Second, I'm limiting Disney movies to 2 per film, though very few will get 2, while Marvel and Star Wars will get 3 each. Third, these suggestions will be reasonable, but also very hacking stupid, because I'm very hacking stupid. I like being hacking stupid. And finally, this is gonna hurt, but no Disney TV shows. Disney usually keeps their shows separate from their films, so with roster space already being so tight, I can't see them giving them the spotlight. That sucks though, so here's a compromise. I will do another roster focused entirely on Disney animated TV show characters. Once I get to some of the shows I need to see and ones I haven't seen in a long time. Also for this video, like the others, I'm basing this directly off of Smash. I'm sure a real Disney fighting game would introduce some new mechanics, but I'm not a game developer, only based on growing fanboy. That's more than enough waiting. Let's continue the trend of me really wanting Disney characters to murder each other and make a hypothetical roster for Smash Bros. Disney. Let's get the obvious one out of the way. Mickey. Duh. What you might be surprised in, though, is that he's the only Mickey Universe character here. That's right, no Donald, no Goofy, not even me forcing my unhealthy obsession with Pete in here. The reason why is simply 1, too many characters, and 2, Disney doesn't usually include Mickey characters in crossovers as often as you may think. Anyways, I'm basing this off of Sorcerer Mickey since it's the most bad already, besides this fricker, who could easily solo Dragon Ball, and he used magic and stuff. Epic. With Snow White being Disney's first film, it only feels right to include it somehow. Grumpy is the one character in the film I could totally see committing homicide, so he's in. Mostly just him using mining materials, along with maybe including the other dwarves. Pinocchio is one of the many that has little to no moveset potential, but it's so iconic that he has to get in. Also, this Pinocchio design is so cute and innocent that him being yeeted across the stage is just inherently funny. Further out of the box pick, Headless Horseman. I'm not sure if he'd have the horse or not, but without it, he'd have a sword and being able to throw a pumpkin, and with it, well... Alice could be fun. She wouldn't fight at all, and would be very lightweight, but hit hard due to all of her attacks summoning different characters as she moves on her travels. Like, maybe the Cheshire Cat could be a recovery teleport. Yes, this is kind of the same as my Infinity Train moveset proposal, but shut up. Okay, so... Fairy Godmother Cinderella. Is this a weird pick, or does this make perfect sense? It's a movie that definitely deserves representation, yet I can't see most of it fighting, and the Fairy Godmother's magic would be the only way I could see it making in. Yeah. Peter Pan. For me, he could be a direct Link clone. For Sirius, he could fly and also cut people. And also just have the greatest grab game in the whole thing, because he's all about kidnapping children. I don't know how he's the protagonist. We need someone to balance him out, and I always preferred Hook. And he's got a gun, hook, sword, maybe you could bring in the crocodile for the Final Smash. For Sleeping Beauty, Aurora does nothing but sleep. Or maybe you could use Maleficent, who is very slow yet powerful magic ruler, focusing on traps and using Get Off Me tools, and our Final Smash being turning into the dragon. Actually no, the first idea sounds better. Another villain, Cruella. Not entirely sure what she can do, besides incorporating her car somehow, but she's one of those characters too popular not to include. Insert jab at the live action remake here. One last villain for now, but with a twist. For Jungle Book, I'm gonna say the rep should be Shere Khan. Now you may just say he's a tiger, which is true, and that's why, while Khan will do the normal moves, the character you should never Google, Ka, will ride on his back and do all the specials, including using his hypnotism, and his long sides could be a tether. It's Duck Hunt Dog, but with 2 tethered serial murderers. Nice! Robin Hood would mostly be based on using his bow. That's a playstyle I don't see used a lot, outside of Lincoln Pitts neutrals, so that could be unique. Winnie the Pooh. What on earth do I do with this guy? He's not a fighter, but he's one of the most iconic characters Disney owns, so sure. My best suggestion is letting him summon out the other characters from his movie. Alright, hear me out. Horn King. I know this is an obscure pick, but the Horn King does actually have a lot going for him. He's obscure, yet relatively popular among people who've seen the film. Even his detractors usually state he's the best part. Disney isn't above referencing him, and usually only him. He's got some merchandise. He's even been the basis for other notable characters. Heck, in a real Disney fighting game pitch, he was one of the characters featured. Gameplay-wise, I could see him as an extremely slow yet powerful magic user. Maybe even with an attack that drains the opponent's health and gives it to him. And now, we're on to the Renaissance. This is where the 2 per franchise rule really gets used, because this was the hardest section to narrow down characters for. Starting with Ariel, I think they can get away with just having her float in place to time about the ground and then swim through the air while moving. A lot of her attacks will involve the Triton, which she does use in TV series, along with maybe bringing in other sea creatures or her various treasures. Ursula would be more straightforward, throwing herself around, maybe having eels come in, having just the most broken grab game thanks to hentai, and of course growing in size for her final smash. The Beast punch stuff. That can't all be winners. He could have both his formal suit and red cape as costumes though. No one wave dashes like Gaston! Pretty much every real world weapon you can think of is being used by Gaston, along with good old punching people. Aladdin's normal moves would mostly be using his sword, this is a Smash clone after all. For his specials though, he'll of course have the genie do genie things. So I went back and forth on if Jack Skeleton should be included, but since he is included with other Disney characters like in Kingdom Hearts, sure. He could probably use all the different toys and decorations for his attacks. Either had the Pumpkin King be a form he can take or an alt. Santa Jack would definitely be an alt. And his last match would probably include the sleigh. We then move on to Simba. Also known as the reason I gave Shere Khan Ka, because there's not much you can do with Simba besides the basic claw swipes and roaring. But because of his design, his alts can easily be other lions like Nala and Scar. Since they're out of the way, that paves the way nicely for Timon and Pumbaa to be the other Lion King rep. They can charge around and, dear God, I'm gonna say it, have Pumbaa have a fighting move a la Wario. Quasimodo, kind of unlikely since Disney does occasionally try to fit this film exists, but it's popular enough to the point where I feel like it feels earned. Not sure what you could do with him though, besides for punching. Hercules is a bit more obvious though. He's got a sword, overwhelming strength, and Pegasus for his recovery. I'm also throwing in Hades because I like him, and he's got fire and smoke, and he can bring in monsters at the final. Maybe give him a rage form that gets stronger but is easier to launch. Mulan. Disney's gonna force as many princesses in here as possible. Might as well go with one that can actually beat people up. Also, she's got a cannon. That's nice, that's cool, I like cannons. Tarzan. I'm starting to realize most of these guys are super boring. I don't know how you would go incorporating a swing, but I'm not a game designer, so Emperor's New Groove is interesting. It's easily big enough to deserve a rep, but not enough to get more than one, which makes it hard since there's 3 obvious choices. All 3 have their pros and cons, the pros being they funny, but it's hard to pick one. I ended up with Yzma because her potions would bring the most unique gameplay of the 3, though I could see her riding on the back of Kronk in her tent throwing vitals and Kronk does physicals. That's actually a way better idea. And I mean, it's got Kronk, so yeah, definitely better. So, I want to briefly apologize to anyone who doesn't have their favorite Disney character on this roster. There's just so many different Disney characters that I just couldn't include them all. They're all great in some way. So if I didn't include your favorite, I'm truly sorry. However, my favorite is Stitch, and because he's basically a cope, he's very self-explanatory. Energy guns, rolling around at the speed of sound, his force smash should just be using a freaking car. Also have his alts either be, or at least reference, Ruben, Angel, and Leroy. Another soul villain rep, Dr. Soleil would mostly use his cane for normal attacks, but his specials would focus on his shadow and his friends on the other side. So while the Renaissance era characters were very hard to think of for movesets for, the new era characters were really easy. Rapunzel you could base off the show, but I think it makes more sense based off the film, which while more limited, does have enough to work with, like her frying pan and of course her hair. Also have Pascal pal around with her for no reason, other than it makes my brain newly happy. Ralph's a big punchy boy who is big and punchy. Have one of his attacks be eating an ice lander because it's funny. Also don't reference this abomination at all. Also use ice if this video didn't tip you off. That should be enough. Final smash is marshmallow. I also have Bruni pal around with her for no reason other than it makes my brain really happy. Baymax, like Rapunzel, could probably be better based off his show, but I haven't seen it, so he's flying and he's shooting his arms and that's all he can do. Judy would be an extremely fast yet lightweight character, as you'd expect from a rabbit. Another one where I don't know what she would do, you could probably string something together. She'd probably be like the Pikachu of this game, and that absolutely terrifies me. Moana's got an oar. Or does she kill me? Also, water. I'm gonna throw in Maui because he's got a hook and also shapeshifting is a very underused ability in fighting games. Include Shark Head somehow, you cowards. Probably not a character I'm most be excited for, but I'm throwing in Raya. Disney would want a modern rip, and while Encanto is more popular and, better, I made a video of one of these and it wasn't Raya. Raya is more fitting for a fighting game, and it's definitely the one they push the most. Anyways, Sword, yeah. We finally move on to Pixar. Toy Story's got 2 rips surprisingly, and they're of course Woody and Buzz. For Woody, he's just stereotypical cowboy stuff, and for Buzz, it'd be more unique, but also kind of standard space person stuff. Though I will throw in the Kodak equivalent of the game should be Woody just absolutely verbally annihilating his opponent. If the game isn't over by the time the Kodak is over, the opponent just immediately gets their entire character erased from the game. Gotta be accurate to the source material. Best film of all time, Monster Inc. is coming in with Sully, a mostly physical fighter, but I'm sure you could have some more unique stuff. maybe even make him a double fighter with Mike. Then we have Randall, aka the reason I did not make this one per movie. I am very biased. Randall would of course use his intangibility, and I think wall crawling could be a unique trait to give him, even if a lot of stages would need to be made specifically for this mechanic. For The Incredibles, well obviously Bob isn't being this, also kind of standard punching man, but I could see him like throwing stuff around to fight. The second fighter though was tough. Frozen would be fun, but we already have an ice wielder, and I'm very close to including Syndrome, mostly down to him being my favorite character in the film, but I do feel like as obvious as it is, Helen should get second rep. Stretching moves and things would be fun, albeit hard to balance, as we know. Also, don't allow shared screen shots in this game. Just trust me, Disney. Also, have them both have their alternate costumes as ults. Now, I don't know how you would make Lightning McQueen playable, but I'm gonna make Lightning McQueen playable. He'd basically just be Sonic in the sense that every move is him just spinning around, but I counter that by saying it's funny. Alright, it's time for another Guys Please Hear Me Out moment. Guys, please hear me out. Listen, this would just be a normal guy playing with kitchen utensils, but I just want Weenie to have this absolutely panicked look on his face the entire time, since it's clear that it's Remy making him do this all. I'm starting to realize that Pixar characters are, like, not suited for fighting outside of Monsters, Inc. and Incredibles. Anyway, she's a character who loses every single fight they're in their movie. While he does have a laser and can throw out garbage blocks, I presume they look more like they do in the credits in the actual film, but they also could do like a Steve-esque move. Eve would also appear in some way, either in some attacks, just in taunts, or idols, or whatever. Probably the easiest to include Pixar character, which I'm sure most people won't be as into, Merida. I'm not sure how you could make her different compared to Robin Hood, and since Merida is more recent, she's more likely, to be honest. But whatever, give her her horse. Or make the horse playable. So the final two Pixar characters are one you'll never expect. First is Bing Bong. One of the emotions may make more sense, but I feel like Bing Bong would make the most sense from a fighter's perspective since he has a rocket, various animal attributes. Heck, maybe he could invoke the other emotion's powers somehow. Also have his losing animation be this. I thought people would suffer. The final Pixar character. You'll never see it coming. Okay, I knew we wanted to include Nemo characters somehow, but Nemo, Marlin, and Dory just don't work. That's why, I'm dead serious, I'm including Hank the mother-fricking septopus is the final Pixar rep. Listen, I could see an octopus just being fun to play as. His intelligibility would be unique, he's got a teapot. Listen, I'm sorry, I don't know what you could do with most Pixar casts. I'm sure they're leaning towards some of the newer films, but I just can't imagine a freaking Joe Gardner throwing hands, okay? I'm sorry. So I want to end it there, but obviously I can't. I decided to add in 10 more slots here to just represent a small fraction of the country's worth of things Disney owns. Star Wars and Marvel gets 3 characters each. For Star Wars, I think the best choices are Luke, the main hero, who would of course use his lightsaber, Vader, arguably the most iconic character of all time, plus also Force and lightsaber, and the Mandalorian, to represent the new blood the series has, and he doesn't have a lightsaber, so that's an improvement. For Marvel, this was super hard. I decided on Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Hulk, though any of these guys can be subbed in as well. Honestly, Marvel should just make their own fighting game. Moving on, we got Kermit the Frog, baby! Listen, Muppets has been around for so long, you could easily make a moveset with every single attack being referenced. As long as it's goofy and it's fun, it works. So the next 2 are from live-action films. Yeah, there's no, 20th Century Fox, I'm sorry. I just can't see them really including, a freaking xenomorph to fight Winnie the Pooh. And they don't really care about, they very clearly actually do not care about Blue Sky, so yeah, sorry, no Fox here. As for live-action films, well, they only ever tend to acknowledge Pirates of the Caribbean and Tron, so yeah, Jack Sparrow and Tron, easy, breezy, beautiful cover girl. That Tron out mechanically drives the bike and makes walls that are impossible to pass to ruin everyone's fun, I love it. And finally, for the final character, I think the parks deserve some representation. And while there's plenty to pick from, I'm going to lean towards Haunted Mansion since it's the most popular. For its rep, I'm going with the Hatbox Ghost. An obscure, yet still marketed and popular character who already has shown some level of teleportation, plus, being hacking ghost with benefits of that would round off the roster quite nicely. And there we go. 60 characters for a game that, let's be honest, is going to happen eventually in one way or another. This was easily the hardest roster to make, and I'm sure it's pretty inaccurate if we ever did get one, especially my decision to make Mickey the only rep from his side of the verse. But hey, this was a fun thought experiment, I guess. Also, like usual, here's who I would cut in a more conservative roster. This time it's 20 cuts instead of the normal 15, but it's also 40 characters kept instead of the usual 35. Friendly reminder that I will do another roster for the Disney TV shows, the animated ones obviously. Once I am, I watched through all the ones I've missed and the ones that I haven't seen in a long time. So yeah, thanks for watching. Seriously, Disney, though, we need to know who would win a fight between Ursula and Lightning McQueen. Like, obviously Lightning McQueen has the speed advantage, but Ursula probably has the power advantage, because, you know, she has the trident. But even if she doesn't have the trident, she can, like, you know, wrap up him and maybe even drown him. But, like, do cars, like, drown? Is that, like, lore or not? So I don't really know. Could Lightning McQueen, like, survive under the water? I mean, in the second film, Theory Missile survived under the water. However, he had, like, the breathing apparatus. So, does he kneel? Did he have a breathing apparatus? He might not have a breathing apparatus. I don't even know. I do think that he could probably beat Ursula if she was, like, on the ground, but if Ursula was in the water, well, then I'm pretty sure she would have the advantage, right? And then, like, obviously, if she becomes a giant monster thing, like, there's no debate on this. Like, obviously, the winner would be Ursula. But, like, let's say she does not have the trident, I still think she could probably beat him, because it's been stated that the sea people in Little Mermaid are stronger than humans. How strong, we do not know. However, they do say it's a significant improvement between humans. So maybe she is comparable to, like, the shark. Well, the shark would probably beat up Lightning McQueen. However, Lightning McQueen obviously, again, has speed advantage. So could he just, like, run around in circles and just jam into Ursula before she can do anything? We don't know, because really we don't know how strong Ursula is to begin with. But I do think that given the enough time, she could make a potion to, like free Lightning McQueen, and then she can just go in for the kill. However, that raises another question. How do you kill Lightning McQueen? Because obviously Lightning McQueen is like a car, but, like, does he have brains? Like, I'm pretty sure in one of the, like, special edition features, they do say Lightning McQueen has a brain. However, I don't know if it's like a human brain or if it's like an engine motor. So I think Lightning McQueen would still have a brain, but I don't know, like, how easy it is to destroy. Like, you need to destroy it entirely. Can you just remove it and that's it? Like, he's dead? But, like, how do cars work? Like, do they age up? Or do they just, like, they're just born, for lack of a better word, like, the way that we see them right now? I personally believe that they can be, like, remodeled. Like, a young car can be remodeled to a older car. Older as in, like, age, not older as in, like, age, you know? So I do think that, personally, Ursula would beat Lightning McQueen due to her experience, her intelligence, her ability in the water, the trident, obviously, and magic. However, Lightning McQueen does have the good advantage of a speed advantage, and we don't know enough about him to really say if she could even penetrate his, you know, carness. So, however, I will have to say, in the fight between Lightning McQueen and Ursula, I do think the winner would be Ursula. What was I even going on?